Hello, everybody. I am Dom of X, the manager of Near Mint Condition, which you are watching live today here on the usual Saturday. Unfortunately, Omar is busy making friends and whatnot in Chicago, C2E2, but I am joined by a friend and also our epic social media person, and that is none other than Taylor Talks Comics. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing great, and I just want to say, Dom, the playoffs are upon us, and it looks like there's one of us that are excited that our team is entering the playoffs. or are you just so used to the Lakers making the playoffs that you don't need to?
Oh no, I think I already do that in public enough, and here, like at least living in the Bay Area, it's like people already judge me too much for wearing non Bay Area themed gear. Like I'll be out wearing Lakers or Dodgers shirts, right? They were like, "What? You're not a Giants fan?" I'm like, I never was, so I got that. Yeah, so this is just customary for me. I suppose.
Hey, they didn't make the play-in game this year. They're actually in the playoffs, thanks to
Well, don't
one
say that
Luka.
yet, because if they lose, they could drop out. Well, talking about the Lakers or the Warriors?
The Lakers.
Oh, okay. Fair, yeah, because we have a competent team this time.
Yeah, Luka Doncic is helping them. And here's our resident Celtics fan.
Oh my gosh, there's my favorite Celtic. I think the only Celtics fan of the world that I like. Good morning, indeed, everyone. Do you know this? Do you know the answer to this question, Taylor? Does the Rocketeer book in the thumbnail have the mini stories?
It does not. That Rocketeer book, which I'm surprised. Like, is that new for Omar? I'm surprised he doesn't already have that book. I'm assuming it's new because usually he displays his new stuff in the thumbnail, but it does not. It only includes the Dave Stevens comics.
Indeed. Okay, there you go. Good morning, Mike. Good morning, Ted. Good morning, Karsten. Partworks Comics readers said, start a theme read between Final Crisis and Flashpoint, Battle for the Cowl, Black Mirror, Stephanie Batgirl, Zatanna, Gotham City. That is a lot of really, really good Gotham comics. That's one of my favorite eras of Gotham, just like line-wide as a whole, I think. Have you read any of that stuff, Taylor?
No, that's I one day I'll get to that, maybe in 30 years. I don't know. I'm very behind on my DC reading as far as modern stuff goes. I think the most modern run that I've read of DC is probably I've read some of Joshua Williamson's Flash.
Ooh, okay.
So including Flashpoint. So I have read Flashpoint. I'm sorry.
Okay, there you go.
And it's very good. I liked it.
Okay, there you go. Omnibus reprint poll is on Monday at 3 p.m. Eastern time.
Nope. 6 p.m.
6 p.m. Okay, 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
Yes. 6 p.m. 6 p.m. Eastern. We'll be kicking it off with a live show. It'll be me, Crushing Crisis, and Omar going over. Yes, go Pacers. Going over all of the books that will be on the poll. So just like the epic poll that we recently did, we'll kick it off with a live show. Go through the slideshow of all the books that will be on the poll. It'll give you the opportunity as the audience to let us know if we missed something that's not on the poll, and then we'll launch the poll towards the end of that show, officially once we have it all finalized and ready to go, and then the poll will kick off. And I think we have, I want to say 7 or 8 days to vote after that.
Yeah, the usual standard, at least for near mint condition polls, unless something changes from Omar or someone else, is we usually have it up for about a week or so, and then close it down. Go over the tabulated result. Omar will obviously make a video displaying what the top 20 or 25 results are, and then we will react accordingly.
Yeah, so you don't have to watch the live show to vote. It'll be available for a week or whatever, but please join us anyways.
Please join us on Monday. Our epic social media man, Taylor, will be there to help kick it all off. Good morning to you, Cage. Omar is looking for more Alf merch. Maybe perhaps. The Alf never dies. Good morning to you, Logan. Good morning, Jaggernaut. I have been seeing, I don't know if you have seen this, but I have been seeing Transformer Kickstarter ads like all over. Like, I have a personal Instagram and I don't follow anything like comics related on there at all. You know, it's just for friends and whatnot. But I will still get Transformers Kickstarter ads.
Which is wild because, the G.I. Joe one was the most successful Kickstarter ever, and this one seems to be wildly successful already. I think they've crossed $1 million already. So, Boo.
What?
But yeah, they're advertising like crazy. I agree.
Yeah, they're doing a fantastic job giving out the word to folks. Good morning to you, MP. Great job on the Peacemaker video, by the way. I really like your DC finds. But you know what? I actually had some fun with this book, even if I'm not the biggest Christopher Smith fan in the world. I think if you're a fan of G.I. Joe, there is something for you with it. Like they have the I don't know if you know this, Taylor, but they have the original 60s material in here, along with the 80s miniseries and every single appearance of his in Checkmate, Suicide Squad, and Vigilante.
Yeah, it's kind of like that. Doesn't it cross like almost 30 years of material?
Yeah, it's 27 years of material. In
Yeah,
book.
so I want to pick up that book for sure. I've read some of that Silver Age stuff from the Charlton days, but I've never read anything after that, so I need to pick that up. I only own one DC's Finest so far, and it's the Legion of Superheroes.
I hope they make more Legion in the future, because I thought that they were going to go, completely all in so far on it, and we've only gotten one. Where like Batman's going to have 3, Wonder Woman's going to have 3, and Superman's going to have 3 by the new year. So
yeah, the Legion, if they do one more volume, it'll bridge the gap of material that hasn't been released since back in the DC Archives days.
For sure. Hey, Avengers we can't have enough of the Crossing. What Omni reprint are y'all looking forward to vote for?
So every year I get disappointed by this poll. I'll be honest. Every year, I think the last 2 years, all 5 of my votes, none of my 5 votes either year made it to the top 20. I usually vote for like old stuff that people don't want to read, I guess, or obscure stuff. But just like last year, Thor Volume 2, the Mighty Thor Silver Age Volume 2 will probably be my number 1 vote. That's like the one Kirby omnibus I'm missing, is that vote or that omnibus. So that'll be getting my vote.
Okay, well there you go. I think all the stuff that did get reprinted, I managed to snag, like all the omnis that I wanted anyway. So anything like on top of that is just like I already have all the Daredevil omnis. I got all the X-Men omnis that I wanted. I think new X-Men will probably be like get my vote, but it's also like it's new X-Men. I doubt that Marvel is gonna take that out of stock anytime soon. So
yeah, I am getting to the point where these reprint polls, which I think are great and magnificent, but like as a collector myself, I'm like the Epic Collection one. I only needed one of those Epic Collections that was that needed to be reprinted. So I really only had one. I voted 5, but I only needed 1 vote really. So I'm in a comfortable place as far as like what I need.
There you go. Look at that. Everybody in the in the chat showing out their colors for the NBA. Let me see if I can find another question for us. What was the thing that you emailed him on, Arjun? Sorry if I missed your question, by the way. I am trying to coordinate.
Is that for the reprint poll, or
it's regarding the reprint poll?
Or is he talking about the Tiger Eyes omnibus poll of books that have never been made?
Mm-hmm. It's a good question. Let us know. Let's see if I can get to.
I might be able to help navigate that for you, because I'm actually part of the team that's putting together the Tiger Eyes poll. So after this poll is when we start doing I think we'll do the DC Absolute reprint poll first. Omar will be able to tell you better. And then we'll do the Tiger Eyes poll, the Marvel poll that we do every year, where it's like the most wanted Marvel omnibus to be made that's never been made before that you want. And there's so many books on that one. And Crushing Crisis, shout out to him. Amazing job he does navigating this, but I'm part of the team that's putting those together. So whatever you're talking about there, Arjun, I think I pronounced your name right. I might be able to help make sure it's on the poll. For
sure. Juggernaut asks, is Tomb of Dracula Volume 1 worth it?
Yes, for the Gene Colan artwork alone. I don't know if we've had official word or not, but if it'll be using the original scans from the first omnibus, or if it'll be using the new Masterworks scans, since those have been masterworked now. But regardless, Gene Colan artwork, amazing stuff.
There you go. Let me see. I moved over. Do you think that we will finally get a Flash Golden Age omnibus?
I hope so. Flash is my most collected DC hero in omnibus format. I love Flash. I think he's such a perfect character to follow throughout the history of DC. I think he's had such a pivotal role in so many aspects of DC's history. But that's the one era of Flash I've never read anything from.
Really?
There's some modern eras. I haven't read all of Wade and I haven't read all of John's. I still need to finish those, but I've read bits of those at least. And I've read a little bit of Williamson, a little bit of Adams, and then everything before that I've read: Silver Age, Bronze Age. Yes, follow him on YouTube.
Yeah, he is a.
But Golden Age Flash I've never read, so.
I've read all the handful of issues that he's in with the JSA and All Star Comics, and by with the JSA I mean they split up, those stories to follow. Hey, they're going on a random mission. This is where Jay Garrick's going to, and in that case, I have also only read Jay when he's been in the JSA or a JSA like team. But that's one area of DC that I hope that they I think they'll get around to it with DC Finest. I don't know when they'll get to it, but I think that is a big thing. Newspew asks, what got you both into reading comics? And what has kept you both reading comics?
What got me into reading comics? I had an older brother. Well, I have an older brother. Sorry. He's still with us. He's about 7 years older than me, and basically every nerd culture thing I am in, he impressed upon me at a young age. So he was really into comics growing up, and that's how I started. I think the first comic book series that hooked me was because I read comic even before I could read. I was reading his comic books and just flipping through them. But it was around 10 or 11. He bought me a trade paperback for Todd McFarlane's Spider-Man. And that thing I read to tatters. I couldn't stop reading that thing over and over again. So that's the series that hooked me. I was okay, this is the thing. I want to read more of these things. And then I did have a period where I was out of comics in my early 20s. And what brought me back in was Jeff Lemire's Roughneck. I tell a story a lot. My wife bought me a gift card for my local comic book shop, and I went there wanting to buy something that wasn't Marvel or DC because I was 5 years removed from comics and all the reboots and rehashes and things. I was just so far behind in continuity. So I picked up Jeff Lemire's Roughneck, and I read it in one sitting when I got home, and then I've been here ever since.
Well, there you
Back
go.
Ever since. So,
my uncle gave me a copy of some Jeff Johns Green Lanterns comics when I was 7 years old, and I have not stopped reading since. So, let me see if there's a. Yeah, people are talking in the chat about what they want to vote in for. Question from Ted: since you did the Most Wanted Omni poll last year, will you be reusing the mappings and adding new suggestions? Or are you starting from scratch again?
We're starting from where we start. We're using everything we used last year and adding new stuff, basically. And I think there's some of the mappings and stuff will probably be altered or changed. I'm focusing on Golden Age stuff is what my job is in this group. Which is funny to me that I'm the Golden Age guy, but I love Golden Age comics, but it's just funny to me that I'm working on this aspect of the poll that probably won't get voted on very much, unfortunately.
You know what? It's a fun thing to do. They're just going in. It is. Yeah.
And I love comic book history, so diving in to figure out, things. Yes, Jaggernaut, way to go. Diving in and figuring out what would go in there and what doesn't go in there, that kind of thing. I do love the aspect of it. But yeah, well, pretty much everything that you saw last year plus more.
There you go. I would definitely say yes. If you like G.I. Joe, you will find fun here. The nice thing about this Peacemaker book is that they map it, so you only get the Peacemaker related content. You'll get pages and excerpts of Checkmate and Suicide Squad. That's only if they're talking about Peacemaker or if there's background you need for he's going to be in this next issue. There's going to be a covert ops mission, which needs Peacemaker. So that's when he'll show. It's very, very perspective centric. And that's actually the one thing I love about the character centric books that we've had from the line so far. Let me see if I can get it around to another. Oh, here we go. Morning, guys. Morning to you. Omar, I cannot say that name. I apologize. DC Finest has been a blind spot for me. Any specific book from that line that you'd recommend? I would actually suggest getting the Batgirl DC Finest, which dropped in this week, that you can get from any one of our channel sponsors. Check over at cheapgraphicnovels.com. They did a fantastic job with the issues that they included in here as well. There's a Superboy issue, which Cash shows up in. they also managed to include, because she's part of that book. And there's also a Supergirl issue from the Joker's Last Laugh tie-in. But I love Cassandra Cain. I love Batgirl. I love Batman-related content. She's a wonderful character. There are also great emotional moments and beats in this specific book where you care more for her. So I would definitely say go the Batgirl trend, because we need those Batgirl books out.
What era is that?
Early 2000s Batman.
Okay.
So
I've had my eye on that one too, because it's a blind spot for me, and I do want to try it out.
There's a lot of
I think
No Man's Land content that's really good. Like Batman You Gotham by Greg Rucka is also something that I very thoroughly enjoy. It's also where Ed Brubaker and Brian K. Vaughan got their feet in on those early like Batman series. So there's a lot of history there.
I think the Batman Year 1, Year 2 one's an obvious good DC's finest volume to buy too. They are doing a follow-up one to that, The Killing Joke, and then they just announced the one before that. So then we'll have three volumes of Batman in order, which would be nice.
Oh, for sure. Les also asks, how worth it are the Daredevils and Darcy's Omnis? All I know is I probably would end up in a DD rabbit hole if or when I buy. It's one of my favorite runs ever. Blast, you should read. I mean, I have read that run over and over again. I just remember being stuck in the pandemic, couldn't figure out what to read, and I had a stack of Daredevil issues like all lined up, because those were some of the first Marvel comics I ever bought with my own money. And it made me I mean, if Wade got me like into Daredevil, Zdarsky was the one who made me stick there. I will definitely say I will pine for that run 24/7. Will we be able to vote again? Vote for DC versus DC Marvel crossovers, like a reprint of JLA Avengers or Wildcats X-Men, or even a transport. Go ahead, Taylor. Sorry.
No, you're fine. So this will be more in regards of like the DC Absolute reprint poll, is what I think all those titles will fall into. Can you bring that back up? Sorry.
Oh, sorry. Go. Let me see if I can find the.
I had like JLA. Okay, so DC crossovers and JLA Avengers, those will be on the DC reprint poll. But that's the, so just to clarify, we send them both to Marvel and DC when we do these polls. Now Marvel, we have a better connection with; they listen to us more. And DC, though, Omar said he sent it to them. He never got any reply back, but we have seen some reprints come up that fell in line with what the results of that poll were. So there has to be some sort of influence there. Wildcats X-Men Omni, that would be, I guess that would fall. I don't know if we'll even include a crossover like that on the most wanted poll. And then what was the last one? I'm sorry.
Do we want to transmit?
But
that's not Marvel.
That'll be on the most wanted DC poll when we do that one. I think we did include those titles last year, but yeah,
for sure. Twisted Kister, that will be in the previous volume. So what I am actually going to say, I guess partly for record, and obviously DC can change their mapping anytime, is that they're going to include No Man's Land excerpts from like Batman and Detective Comics in the Batgirl DC Finest, or specific chapters where we get introduced to Cassandra Cain and what her sort of origin is as far as that story. And then we will get Batgirl issues 1 through 6. Issue 7 is in this DC Finest. So we will get those eventually. I have no doubt in my mind about that. And if so, I'm really happy that they decided to start after, because it gives me hope that they're going to continue the line regardless. So good job, DC. What are your guys' favorite Will Ferrell movie?
The most watched one's probably Elf, just because we watch it as a family every year. Will Ferrell. I'm not the biggest Will Ferrell fan. I don't dislike him. Step Brothers is good.
I think the Lego Movie is my favorite Will Ferrell movie.
Oh, Lego Movie is great. Yes,
I love that. I love that movie, even if it is a bit cheesy. But
yeah.
It's cheesy in the ways that I personally want it to be cheesy. So
yeah.
And anyways, Ariane said that he emailed or forwarded his email over to you.
Oh, okay.
Even when Omar's in here, we have to talk about Will. He's a cool looking guy. He pitched in a Dodgers game off nonchalant back in like 2006 against the Padres for like a stunt. I loved him.
Yeah, I do like his SNL work too.
Yeah, I do. I don't love him, but I do like Will Ferrell a lot. I don't think Omar is a big fan of it though. Or fan of him, I should say. AK asks any suggestions on what stuff to look into. Definitely want to get into Spidey as far as Batman. You got Year One, Last Halloween, Long Halloween, Long Halloween or Last Halloween, AK, if I may, because those are two different books. A few suggestions would be great.
As the resident Silver Age, Golden Age guy, I got to go with Steve Ditko's Spider-Man. I think it's great. If you want to dip your toes into Silver Age comics, I think Steve Ditko's Spider-Man is a perfect entryway because it reads really well, and also you get introduced to all the rogues gallery of Spider-Man characters that you know and love, like Green Goblin, Sandman, Dr. Octopus, all those guys. And then Batman, if it is Long Halloween you're talking about, that's a great one. Obviously, Year One. Also, I got to throw out anything Frank Miller's written. Frank Miller, Dark Knight Returns is amazing.
You're gonna put in Dark Knight Strikes again to do it.
I do love that, but I don't want to. If it's a newer reader, I don't want to be like, hey, this is amazing. But yeah, I think that's. I'm trying to think of other Batman runs that I love. I don't know. What do you have to say?
I think Scott Snyder's Batman is very new for your friendly. That was the first Batman run that I read when I was 11, 12 years old. I got trade paperbacks of that are still in my room, waiting for Scott to sign them at someday. Maybe someday I will get them there. But nonetheless, Scott Snyder's Batman is definitely a plus for sure. If you have a shot to find it, AK, I really, really like Batman Ego by Darwin Cook. That's an underrated book I don't think anybody talks about. Because like everyone is going to recommend Hush, everyone's going to recommend Long Halloween, Court of Owls, but I do think Ego is a really, really great character analysis of who Batman is and his character. It's also done by Darwin Cook, who's one of my favorite creators of all time. So I think those would be my two recs for you. Yeah, for Spidey, it's hard to pass up on Ditko. Romita Senior Spidey, in the early mid 60s, late 60s. I also want to throw in Stern Spidey there. So we're going a little bit old school on you, but those are our recommendations.
I did just read and did a overview on my channel for the Web of Spider-Man Omnibus, and I was really blown away by how good that was. So
it's really good.
If you want to try out another one.
Batman is the only answer. If Omar were here, he'd tell you. But no, Year One, Dark Knight Returns, anything that we suggested, I think, are going to be great Batman reads. Farrell versus Sandler. Who wins? I'm biased to Sandler, to be honest.
I grew up on Sandler, so I haven't watched a single Adam Sandler movie that's come out within the last 20 years. But those 90s Adam Sandler movies they have a soft spot in my heart. Like Billy Madison, Happy Gilmore, Big Daddy, even all those movies. So I'd go with Sandler.
Oh, for sure. Parker Comics Reader also says, at least for DC Finest, we already saw the approach with Harley Quinn in terms of character-centric books, and they just did one again with Peacemaker. Huntress volumes could work the same way. Azrael volumes could also work the same way. It's also crazy, Parker's Comics Reader, as you say that Huntress is actually on one of the covers in this book. So I think the possibility is definitely in there for the future. Now, do you have to, man, I think tabloiding a lot of those Birds of Prey issues, Detective Comics issues, but also this, I think I want Huntress selfishly because I love Cry for Blood by Greg Rucka. It's one of my favorite comics of all time. I really want that reprinted DC. So I am with you, Partworks Comics Reader.
I love all the obscure C and D list characters, and that's what I love about these collections, like this and Epic collections, is you get a chance to read a big chunk of those characters' histories. Thank you, James.
Well, there you go. Dom, I had a video idea for you. DC Finest Epics that are gap fillers for. Ooh, it's actually not a bad video. I am completely decked out right now. I won't lie, MP, because it is the last month of the semester, so work is ramping up. But I will get around to that. Is a great suggestion. That
is a great idea.
What's up, Don Taylor? Just left my LCS. What have you bought, Lionheart?
Yeah, what'd you pick up? I want to hear.
That is cool. AK says, yeah, I heard a lot about the OG stuff for Spidey. Was thinking anything that's more of a dark story for Spidey, maybe for Batman. Anything which is more like where Bruce is more the tech.
Well, if you want dark Spider-Man, I would definitely recommend the Web of Spider-Man Omnibus. There's a lot of horror vibes in that throughout the Omnibus, like with Kraven's Last Hunt, especially is in there, which is one of the biggest, like most famous Spider-Man stories you'll hear about. And then there's a 3-issue run in that Omnibus that really blew me away. It has Bill Sienkiewicz covers, and then Anna Cinti writes it, and Cindy Martin is the artist. And it's like Spider-Man going into like a psych ward. There's definitely some horror vibes in there as well. And all throughout, it seemed like it's kind of like the vibe they're trying to go with the Web of series. So I'd recommend that Omnibus again if that's what you're wanting, darker Spider-Man stories.
If you want stuff on the detective side of it, AK, I have no idea if you read single issues or not, but Philip Kennedy Johnson is currently writing Batman and Robin, which very much is like it's a detective noir story. It's also his opportunity to be on Batman. He told me that him being on Batman and Robin meant that this was going to be like his one big shot to do a Batman book. Like it's going to be the only Batman book he's written. So he's bringing a lot of those detective vibes because he really likes Hush. He really likes Long Halloween and Court of Owls. He listed those three as sort of like the pillars for how he wanted to do his own book, and Damien's in it. So if you want that tag team, I definitely recommend that. And whenever it gets collected, Dan Waters and Hayden Sherman are currently doing a 12-issue series called Batman Dark Patterns, which focuses on Bruce's early career in Gotham. And he has to figure out specific cases that are given to him by the because he's currently like trying to mend a relationship with the GCPD because it's early Batman, so he doesn't have those established ties with the police department. But it's split up into 3-issue stories where each 3 issues it's like one specific case, and you move on from one thing to the next thing. So hopefully that pans out. Fanta reprint poll coming when?
You know, Harvey, that's actually something I've been toying with the idea of doing. I do have a pretty good relationship with my contact at Fantagraphics, and I'm going to do a live show where I have the viewers ask me questions, which I think a lot of them will be like, "When's this going to be reprinted?" Which I'll present to my contact there, and then actually, as far as the reprint poll, I might introduce that idea to him and see how he feels about the idea. But there's a lot of good stuff Fantagraphics could and should reprint, so maybe if they see that there's a big interest in it.
For sure. Let me see if there's anything. Yeah, everybody's loving Dark Patterns right now, although James, I'm wondering if Crisis told you to type this, because I know that they've been also enjoying that too. Was working, so couldn't say anything, but did Omar, but okay, gosh. Omar did receive responses from DC about the results of the poll, and he has confirmed on record that they were sent to the right people.
Yeah, and he heard nothing back, he said. But then, like, the next catalogs that came out, like the next few catalogs, seemed to reflect the results quite a bit. Like, I know, I think League of Extraordinary Gentlemen Absolute was on there. I think the Transmetropolitan Volume 3 Absolute was on there. I'm trying to think of other ones, big ones that people voted for that ended up really high in the poll. I don't know. I'm drawing a blank, but some of the results of the poll, especially the higher end votes, seem to be reflected in the next catalogs that came out afterwards. So it could have been a coincidence. They never responded directly to Omar saying like, "Hey, thanks for the feedback," but it seems like they're listening.
And speaking of listening, if you want to pick up Nightwing by Tom Taylor Omnibus Volume 1, which was one of the higher end results of that said reprint poll, you can check out our sponsors over in the European Union, which is none other than Walt's Comic Shop. They have amazing customer service, and as well as shipping. You can check them out. They do free shipping or flash shipping of 12 euros for all EU countries, along with bulletproof packaging, and emails again will be answered within 24 hours. Head over to Walt's Comic Shop, mention us at the checkouts, and you will get your free shipping, at least for your first order, for over 40 euros. Walt's Comic Shop, your reliable source for omnis and collected editions in Europe. Ding. So anyways, fun stuff there. Lionheart says all single issues and latest series. X-Men, Incredible Hulk by Philip Kennedy Johnson. Amazing Spider-Man, which just got relaunched under Joe Kelly last week, and Pepe Larraz is doing the artwork. Herculoids, G.I. Joe Transformers, Thundercats, Final Fight, and Hush Tua issue 2.
Nice. I like it.
Yeah, I'm very excited for people to be able to finally get a shot to, like, it has been amazing. Like, the whole, I think, entire Batman line of comics is hitting their nails, like, on, like, with stride. I have been enjoying Tom Taylor's Detective Comics run. I've also been enjoying, like, Batman Dark Patterns. And then, yeah, I mean, Jim Lee is drawing the regular Batman book, so who can say that? Let's see. Yeah, I am trying to see. You know what? I mean, they fit within the lines, Saturday Morning Fan. I know that it's a lot weird with the sponsors, but they are fun. I'm trying, Newsboy. I'm trying. Have you seen Amazon listings for image books? I'm excited for Tech Jacket Compendium and Battle Pop Deluxe hardcover.
Battle Pope, I think. I think it's a typo. Battle Pope. Yeah. Yeah, I actually, you know what? You have Invincible as your profile picture. I've never read Invincible. I read like the first trade paperback like years ago, but I don't really count that as reading because I forget what even happened. But soon this year, I'll be reading Invincible for the first time. I'm on record as not being the biggest Robert Kirkman fan,
but he's trying.
I'm thinking Invincible might be the series that I like from him. If not, then I'm just going to give up and never reading another Robert Kirkman book. But I think that might be the series that I like from him, and that's the series I'm going to read this year for the first time.
Oh my gosh! Well, there you go. Look at that. You expanding horizons, Taylor. I can't.
I mean, if I didn't like The Walking Dead, I didn't like Firepower, I didn't like his Void Rivals. If I don't like his Invincible, I don't know what this guy has to offer at this point, right? Sometimes you just have to just cut things off. Not saying he's just not for me. I'm not saying like you're wrong if you like him or anything like that. Not every writer's going to land for you, you know.
Well, there you go.
Sorry for alienating some of our fans there.
No, you're good. You're good. Have you guys read Nemesis the Warlock by 2000 AD? The art looks awesome. Thinking of getting the TPBs.
I have read some of it. I need to pick those up as well. But Kevin O'Neill, I love Kevin O'Neill's artwork. He is incredible. He's the artist on League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. And I have the artist edition of his from the Apex edition from 2000 AD. Such a fantastic artist. He also did Martial Law back in the day. Great series. And the artist edition has some of the Nemesis the Warlock art in there. But I need to pick up those paperbacks. I would recommend them, though. They're fun sci-fi wackiness. You can't go wrong.
There you go. And since you don't read comics currently, Taylor, or we'll get to them whenever you get to them. I don't think you've been keeping up with from the ashes.
I have not.
It's got ups and downs, but I really love the artwork, Mr. I'm Your Lawyer. I really like it when David Marquez draws, and when he draws Rogue and Gambit, they're pretty nice looking.
I did see she tweeted yesterday that the issue 13 was a good jumping on point. So
there are a lot of those for the current X-Men. I think that's what they're trying to do with all like the different relaunches and cutoffs, and then you jumping on like that. I think the whole line is that's the main point that Braveheart's trying to.
I'm a big fan of keeping the numbering going, but then announcing what issues are good jumping on points. I think that's the healthiest, best thing to do for comics.
They're only doing those, unfortunately, for like the main line, like Exceptional, Uncanny, and Adjectiveless X-Men are the only ones that haven't gotten the boot off. The same with Phoenix, actually. Phoenix, those 4 books have not gotten stopped or canceled or relaunched, whatever you would like to call it. Let me see if I can get it to get Kirkman rules. Taylor doesn't know a thing. How many volumes of Unbeatable Squirrel Girl have you read?
Not enough. I love that series from the sense that that's what got my niece into comics. I haven't read a bunch of it though, but my niece was hooked on Unbeatable Squirrel Girl back in the day, and that's like what got her into reading comics. And so I will forever, argue in favor of that series. But it was Ryan North and Erica
Henderson. Yeah.
Henderson, yeah. And I read another series that they both worked on together. And Ryan North's Fantastic Four, I can't wait till like it's an omnibus soon, one day, whenever he's done. I've heard nothing but good things about it, and I love Fantastic Four. So I do want to go back and read Unbeatable Squirrel, maybe with my son. I think that my son's not the biggest superhero fan, but I think that's a series he might dig. So not enough, but one day I will.
For sure. Low Hit says read Outcast, Invincible, Walking Dead. I have read 2 of those 3. I have not read Invincible yet.
I read the first half of Walking Dead, and it just didn't do it for me. Outcast, listen, if I enjoy Invincible, I might try Outcast.
Well, there you go.
But like I said, if I don't like Invincible, not reading Outcast. Why can't Hey, Rich, back in the Bronze Age, Silver Age, Bronze Age, Stan Lee and Jim Shooter both had the mentality that every issue could be someone's first issue. So they were written in a way that every issue could be a jumping on point. Then we got into the modern era with trade paperbacks and whatnot, and they haven't always been written that way, unfortunately. But I wish they were. I
feel you there.
If I was the editor-in-chief of Marvel, we would go back to that.
Hopefully you know what? I want to see them when they get to issue 1000 of Amazing Spider-Man, like just continue on with the 1000s.
Yeah. And if I was editor-in-chief, we wouldn't renumber things. I think going back to issue number 1 all the time to boost that number 1 sales, because they think, issue number 1s are going to be sale. Like the proof is in the pudding there. But I think it's like diminishing returns. I've heard a lot of comic book shops say that whenever a series relaunches with another number 1, it's actually a jumping off point for a lot of people. Because some people are just in the habit, like, okay, I'm always going to pick up this Batman series, issues 1 through 28. And then when they renumber to number 1 again, they're like, maybe I could stop here. So I think there's diminishing returns in that. Like the number 1 is a good big boost, but then
everything else added onto it is like, what are you?
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
And Todd McFarlane is on record of saying like he hates that idea too. That's why he's kept Spawn going for the numbering that he's done. And he's like, why can't you just advertise issue number 73 as a big issue rather than read this issue number 1? And I agree with him. And like I said, with what Gail Simone did on Twitter yesterday, like, hey, issue number 13 is a good jumping on point. There we go.
I will agree with this Saturday morning fan. Gotham Academy is a fantastic book for newbies. Again, that was another series that I read as an adolescent. So, with Marvel trade paperbacks, 50 years old, what was your first graphic novel or trade paperback?
I mentioned it earlier. It was Spider-Man by Todd McFarlane. It was Amazing Spider-Man by McFarlane and Michelini was what it was, because it was before the adjectiveless Spider-Man, but it hooked me. I think it hit me right around the time that the 90s animated series was coming out. Mm-hmm. And I didn't realize it at the time, but since I've gone back and read that series as an adult, you can tell that the 90s, the team making the 90s animated Spider-Man series was pulling directly from the McFarlane comic book series. Like all the villains, all the stories were almost pulled directly from there.
Well, there you go. This was mine. This is a copy of Justice League Volume 1, Origin from the New 52. The first single issues I got were Green Lantern. The first trade paperback I ever got was Justice League, and I guess my cousin noticed it enough to where she started giving me a whole bunch of random New 52 trade paperbacks. So I would not be here if it wasn't for the
So did you go to like a shop and pick that one out yourself, or the trade paperback?
Oh no. This was given to me like 13 years ago.
No, I know, but like it was like a gift for your birthday or something, or like.
Oh no. My mom visited the Philippines, and I guess my cousin wanted to give me some gifts, and this was
okay. Awesome.
And now she lives here in the States. So yeah, life comes full circle. So. Woo! Let me see if I can get to. Oh, here you go. Don Taylor. I've been eagerly awaiting a Man of Steel by Byrne Omni because I love his Fantastic Four run and his art in general. But I've seen on Reddit recently that Man of Steel is boring after the first arc. What are your thoughts?
His Fantastic Four run, as you said, is amazing. I agree with that. I've not read his entire run after Man of Steel, but what I've read is good. I mean, John Byrne, I don't think starts falling off to where like his greatness. I think John Byrne's one of the greatest ever. His greatness, I don't think starts falling off till like after that Superman run. the stuff I've read after that Superman run is when I'm like, this is okay, but it's not classic Byrne. But I think that was the last series that he like was full on like, this is what I want to do. I want to put all my energy into this series.
I think my thoughts on it are I found out from a stream that we did to kick off DC Finest here with me, Curtis, Omar, and Mark Wade. Mark Wade told us that Walt Simonson had a pitch for Superman that got knocked down by DC editorial, so they hired Byrne instead. And I actually really wish that Walt Simonson got on Superman instead of Byrne.
Dang, that would have been. I love Walt Simonson. That would be amazing.
Yeah, I love Mr. Simonson too. Yeah, those are my thoughts.
Man, now I want that series.
See, that's what I was saying. Like you could have had Walt transition it over to Louis Simonson, Roger Stern, Dan Jurgens, and the crew over there.
That's really interesting because Byrne and Simonson, because Simonson's Thor and Byrne's FF, I think were running around the same time together. Mm-hmm. So, and I think it's undeniable that Byrne was the bigger name, the bigger seller at the time. Mm-hmm. So I'm not surprised that DC went with him. Like they went all eggs in their basket with Byrne during that time. Like they advertised the heck of that series, and Byrne coming over to DC was a huge deal. So I'm not surprised they went with Byrne, but Simonson would have been great.
Yeah, those are my thoughts. I really wish Simonson was on, but instead of Byrne. Hopefully that answers your question, Logan.
Are you not a Byrne fan, or are you just?
I don't know. It's not that I don't mind Byrne. It's just that I like other creators more than him.
Okay, that's fine.
I appreciate his his art is absolutely spectacular. I just like other writers over him.
That's fair. I was just curious.
Noah Villa, will there ever be omnibuses of the full Krakoan era? I think Omar would say this. Buy that volume 1 of Age of Krakoa when you can, because we need to tell Marvel. I want to tell Marvel because I love that era of X-Men. I have all of that era in singles. Like that's how much I loved it. Buy that Omni so we can get more of it. If we don't buy it, there won't be any more of it. So I would suggest pre-ordering or first day it drops. Buy that Age of Krakoa Omni so we can get the next Dawn of X volume, Reign of X, and then Destiny of X, and then Fall of X. And then when, the same time comes this year too, get the Fall of the House of X Omni and the Sabretooth War Omni. Those are...
So to answer your question, there is that first Dawn of X Omnibus that has been announced on this channel, breaking news. Mm-hmm. But every subsequent volume that they come out with, we need to support and buy. And I think Crushing Comics and Crushing Crisis, and Omar both said there'd be like 10 or 11 volumes.
There would be 2 for Dawn, 2 for Reign, 2 for Destiny, 2 for Fall, and then you already have the Fall of the House of X Omni. That's
close to double digits there.
I think really the only question you're asking is, because we already had the Ten of Swords hardcover come out, are we going to rebrand that as an Omni? And I don't see why they wouldn't. Maybe they just reprint the hardcover, but that entire crossover was like 24 issues. And that's Omni size already in terms of the Marvel definition, right? So anything can happen.
It could be rebranded, but we do have the precedent of them reprinting the House of X Powers of 10 hardcover. Mm-hmm. So, and you know how Hickman likes to keep the events separate from the omnibuses. Mm-hmm. So it could be rebranded as an omnibus, but it could also just be reprinted as a hardcover.
For sure. Oh yeah, okay. AK is at the comic shop.
Ooh.
Yes, it's Batman. Batman Ego is so good. You will not be disappointed, AK. I promise you.
You're here to spin today. So you got the Killing Joke. That's good. Man, Batman, Spider-Man is what he was asking for. I'm trying to think of like a one single Batman trade paperback that he could pick up. I mean, if you have the Long Halloween, you like that Dark Victory, if they have that. Mm-hmm. Dark Victory was a direct follow-up to that, and it has like the origin of Dick Grayson as Robin, which is amazing. I love that story.
Dark Victory is my favorite of the...
I am so angry. Can I go on a little rant here? So a couple years ago, Tim Sale and Jeff Loeb, before Tim Sale passed away, Godspeed, God rest his soul, but they did a one shot follow-up to Long Halloween. It's like I forget what it's called. The Long Halloween whatever it was called. It's like an 80-page follow-up. And I've been waiting. I don't have the apps. I don't actually own any Long Halloween or Tim Sale, Jeff Loeb Batman. I sold my Omnibus years ago. Long Halloween is one of my favorite series of all time because I've been waiting for the Absolutes to be reprinted. I'm like, I'm not going to have it in my collection to even reread. I want the Absolute to be reprinted, and I'll reread it then. And I thought after that one shot came out, they would put that in the Absolute edition when they reprint it. I'm like, maybe that's what they're waiting for because they didn't put it in the deluxe edition that came out with last year, and they haven't put it in any trade paperback collections they've reprinted. So I'm like, maybe they're waiting for the Absolute edition. We get the announcement the Absolute edition has been solicited for the Long Halloween, and it's not in there. What are they going to put that in? Like that'd be the perfect place for it. It's the conclusion, the last story that Loeb and Sale ever did together. I was mad. I was like, because we got the Dark Victory and the Haunted Night Absolute solicited. So I'm like, they did those two first. Maybe they're waiting, for Long Halloween because it's not going to be a direct. We just plug this file into the printer kind of thing. They're going to have to add something to it. Maybe they're going to add this one shot. No.
Nothing. So say no more, Taylor. You got to put it up with the collected editions department at DC.
I love that one shot. Did you read that one shot?
I've read the one shot.
It was really, really good.
It's not bad at all. See, that's what I'm saying, Adrian. Get him back on a Superman. Have you read Byrne's Star Trek?
I'm not. I'm not the biggest Star Trek fan. I would like to read it, I guess, but Marvel told them. Okay.
I saw the Mark Waid Legion of Superheroes getting reprinted. Is that series good? Are we talking about his 90s stuff or his 2000 stuff? Because they are very different in terms.
You get two different runs there.
Yeah. I do love the Wade Kitson run. That was one of the first Legion comics that I read because somebody told me to read some Legion, booted it up on the DC app, and I love the soap opera.
I've not read either of those runs actually. I'm a huge Legion fan, but I've read like Silver Age, Bronze Age stuff. And this year I'm going to read the 5 years later omnibuses for the first time. I can't see them in the shot. I got them right there. So I'm doing a big Legion read this year. But I do want to read those, and I hope that they do omnibuses or some sort of big collection one day. What's the collection that's coming out? Is it just a trade?
Of
the one he's referring to?
Yeah, it's just a trade.
Okay. Because there's those two that I want to read, and then there's like the... I think Paul Levitz comes back at one point. And did Abnett and Lanning do a...
They did do a Legion run.
Yeah, so I'd like collections of all that stuff.
Hopefully DC Finest will keep me because I do think like that specific franchise is perfect for the Finest format.
It is
tabloiding every single bit and part of, and apparently Mark Waid is also really, really behind the way that they're mapping out those Legion books because he calls himself and Paul Levitz the two biggest Legion fans that are currently alive, which I'm like, yeah, I don't doubt you.
Oh yeah, I don't either. But you know who? Two writers that are big Legion fans as well. Maybe not as big as those two. That have both said they want to do Legion of Superhero runs, and I want to see either of them do it. Jonathan Hickman is one.
Yep.
Apparently, originally what he did with House of X and Powers of 10 was a reconfiguring of what he was pitching for Legion. They get denied, which I think is bonkers. You have which he's still young enough, he could still go to DC and do a Legion run. But you have Jonathan Hickman wanting to do a Legion run with all this huge cast of characters and all the things that he does. Sign me up. The other one would be Tom King. He wants to do a Legion of Superheroes run. Now, that would be way different than a Jonathan Hickman Legion run.
That would be completely different.
But, again, sign me up. I think his run would be more closer to what we get in 5 years later, because it's more of like this drama, soap opera, like deep kind of character study. I think Hickman would be this more like huge, like global catastrophe kind of thing.
Yeah, so two completely different runs, but there is somebody at DC currently working on something that got teased with, I'll just say those characters in the DC All-In special. So it's the 5 years later one. Yeah, no, I still recommend it. Hush 2 has already come out. I have the first issue right here.
Have you read it?
Came out last week. So
hold on. Let me see the cover again. Is that Jim Lee's cover?
Yeah, of course. It's
I love the Will Eisner spelling kind of thing of the hush on the bottom there.
it's pretty cool, isn't it? Yeah.
It's very Eisnerian. That's not, you don't see Jim Lee do that too often.
Well, there is going to be 4 more because it's 158 to 164 is or 163 is the running storyline, and then they're going to be doing a separate series to cap off Hush 2
How often are those issues coming out?
monthly.
Monthly?
Monthly, yeah.
Has Jim Lee already finished the art for this?
I believe, yeah, he has. It's been in the works now for like a year plus.
So he worked ahead of time to make sure it comes out monthly. Okay.
And then Fraction will be taking over the book after Loeb and Lee are done.
Because Lee isn't a slow artist by any means. Like in the 90s and stuff, he was always able to meet deadlines. But since he's taken over as president of DC, he's been super busy. And over the last 10 to 15 years, anytime he's worked on a series, it seems like there's delays.
Yeah, no.
I'm still waiting for All-Star Batman and Robin to be finished.
I know. At some point, hopefully it can. Because Batman has also been hit with a lot of delays, like the Chip Zdarsky run that is currently coming out or like was out, got hit really hard with delays in like the last 6 months of its publication line. They are unfortunately not. But that is what it is. And then I will go back to some other comments after this. Juan Garcia asks, "You guys know if the Absolute Carnage Omni is out? It is out of print.
Yeah, that'll be on the poll on Monday at 6 p.m. Join us live on New York Edition for that kickoff show.
Indeed.
Make your voice heard.
Make your voice heard, indeed. Do you either know what the situation is with the Rama Remasterwork? Seeing people speculating the line is dead now because no new volumes announced after Spider-Man Volume 4. I think Omar would be able to answer that question better than I can because he has the higher authority to talk about on this. I'm not supposed to be talking about that stuff. At least yep. So we'll ask the question next week. No shade or disrespect, but I think he'll be able to answer that question better than I will.
I don't think it's dead though.
It's not. No.
Yeah.
It's not dead, but he'll give you more insight. He'd be able to give you more insight than I can, or than we can, I should say. What was my favorite read of the DC Finest so far? I feel like all of them have been. I think my top 3, though, at least for like new reads or reads that I haven't been completely exposed to, Silver Age Doom Patrol, Plastic Man, and Suicide Squad. The ones I haven't read. There have been some of those books that I have read before.
Those are 3 amazing series. I'm so proud of you, Dom.
Thank you.
Jack Cole's Plastic Man is amazing. That's Golden Age comics right there.
Really good. Yeah.
Doom Patrol Silver Age. I love that series. That is perfect for anyone that's been a fan of like Silver Age Marvel, because that run was directly influenced by Silver Age Marvel. The runner who's the writer on that run is escaping me now. Arnold Drake. Mm-hmm. Arnold Drake, specifically during the time of Silver Age. That was during a period when Marvel was starting to creep up in sales and starting to compete with DC. Like DC was like the juggernaut, and Marvel was like slowly creeping up. And Arnold Drake was reading all of the classic Silver Age. Well, they weren't classic then. All the Silver Age comics from Marvel at the time was like telling his DC editors, like, this is what we need to be doing. Like, that's why they're increasing on sales because they're so good. Hey, Dana, and but none of the editors were listening to him. So when he went to do Doom Patrol, he was like, I'm going to do a kind of a Marvel Silver Age-y kind of story. And it's so much fun. I'm a huge Doom Patrol fan. There's not a Doom Patrol run that I have not loved. My least favorite probably was John Byrne, the aforementioned.
Yeah, no, I do hate that run. Like
that run is, he kind of missed the point. He kind of just made it like a generic superhero story. It wasn't weird at all, especially when he's coming off of like Morrison and Rachel Pollack runs that are just amazing. Those runs are so good. But that John Byrne run was just like, then we get Gerard Way, who is a huge Morrison fan. He gets the weirdness back in there. But
I do love the Doom Patrol. Like, I got hooked onto the show, went to my comic shop, picked up all of the Grant Morrison like thick trade paperbacks. I eventually got the Omni, and I gave all of those trade paperbacks away to a coworker at my comic shop for his birthday. So he had never read it. Kay Taylor found the Amazing Fantasy Omni and then a Craven Epic Collection too. Yes, Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo, Court of Owls. Get it.
Is it the Amazing Fantasy, like the Amazing Fantasy Omnibus or the Amazing Spider-Man Volume 1? Because Amazing Fantasy, I don't know if that Omnibus even has the issue in there. So be leery of that. Look on the back of the book. Make sure that, and if it does, it only has one issue of Spider-Man in there. But if it's Amazing Spider-Man Volume 1 Omnibus, that's got the entirety of Ditko's run in there. Absolutely amazing stuff.
For sure. Top 5 Omnis ever DC released. All right. Grant Morrison, Doom Patrol, Jeff Johns, Green Lantern Volume 1, Jeff Johns, JSA Volume 1, Batman by Grant Morrison Volume 2. And for the 5th one, I'll go 52. 52 Omni with Grant Morrison, Mark Waid, Jeff Johns, and Greg Grappa. There you go. They're my top 5. Maybe Zdarsky delays are actually Jim Lee delays. I like that. There you go.
Maybe he's like, hey, I got Hush coming out. Let's pause your comic for a little bit. I don't want you taking it. No, Jim Lee wouldn't do that.
Oh, for sure. Do you think that it's possible for a Batman Family Year 1 Omni? I don't see why not. I know that they did the box set recently, but DC does like to divvy up some of their collections in different ways sometimes, and I can't see them not doing it. I think if we get some of those deluxe editions reprinted out, like they reprinted Nightwing Year 1 not too long ago, I could definitely see them putting it all in one Omni.
We have the new Mark Waid series to cap that off too, right?
Well, it's not part. It's the new or the updated origin to Dick Grayson and Batman.
So okay.
Their first star. So it's different than the Chuck Dixon, Scott Beatty, Marcos Martin.
I've not read it yet, but I'm waiting for it to be collected, and I cannot wait. I love Mark Waid.
Batman and Robin Year 1 is so good. Like it's also clearly Chris Samnee's like dream project,
which is amazing. I love his artwork. Obviously, he's got like a Mike Allred. I think they're both like really influenced by the Silver Age artwork that I love. So as far as modern day artists, I like them both a lot. And Mark Waid and Chris Samnee is such a great team.
Oh, it's one of the best duos ever.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had been waiting like for 2 years, like because Waid got back to DC in 2021, and then he got Samnee to do some covers, for variants at DC, and they've been just trying to figure out something to pitch to DC. But Samnee wanted to work on like a super special book, not just like a regular ongoing at DC. And then they pitched it, and they were like, DC's not going to say no to either of them. So very, very happy with that. Thank you, Doug, and thank you, Starscream. I have been loving the DC Finest line, and it has gotten me into like an actual kicked up gear where I can talk to more comics with more people now, because I can actually tell people what comic book Peacemaker is like, and not John Cena Peacemaker. I think is the biggest flex that I have been able to have. So, goodbye, and plans of visiting the country anytime soon. I was supposed to go last year, but I graduated with a degree or with 2 degrees, so I couldn't go. I will someday. I think the next planned spot my family has is in like 2027. So, will more modern Batman stories be in the DC Finest line? Hush will definitely be a part of that, because it is Batman 608 to 619, and it's in between the 1938 and 2011 hotspot. Court of Owls isn't, because the cutoff point is Flashpoint, so anything before Flashpoint will work there. I don't know if they do Long Halloween, because I think the goal for the DC Finest stuff, at least that we've seen throughout, is to get stuff that has been out of print or maybe is in a different format like an Omni or a compendium, to get it in a cheaper route for the trade paperbacks. And we already had Long Halloween reprinted a lot, so I don't know if they're ever going to get to that point, but I have seen weirder with DC, so we will see.
They could. I mean, Killing Joke, which was a series outside of the continuity of the ongoing series, is being reprinted in it. Year 1 was obviously a part of the numbering, so that's in there. So Long Halloween they could, but it would be kind of weird though, because by the time, if they do it in the time period that series actually came out, it wouldn't really line up with what was going on with Batman at the time.
For sure. And speaking of DC finest, Batman the Killing Joke, if you live in Canada and are looking to purchase that title, you can check them out with our friends over at BD Cosmos, the Canadian leader in graphic novels with a physical storefront in Montreal, Quebec. Their website does offer free shipping anywhere in Canada for every $250 or more, or 25% off your order of $99 and more. They've got shipping with exceptional care and their amazing customer service. Let them know at checkout that we sent you. You will be added to the monthly $25 gift card raffle, and you will be open for entry for newer returning customers. Don't be afraid to call them, email them, and their staff is always happy to help out for more. BD Cosmos, the Canadian leader, graphic novels, collected editions in A. All right. There we go, indeed. Those are the questions that I think I accidentally glossed over. But Adrian also did ask where we would actually want to suggest one to start for Legion of Superheroes, because there are a lot of Legion of Superheroes continuities.
There are, and it gets rebooted and restarted a bunch of times, so it's very confusing. That's actually one of the weird things that appealed me to the series. I started with the Silver Age when they first debuted, and I absolutely love it. I think it's underrated. I have a video showing off the first Omnibus on my channel, because the thing I love about it is it's a bunch of wacky, quirky characters. First of all, like Bouncing Boy, Matter Eater Lad, like all these crazy characters, and the cast just keeps growing and growing. Some of the things that really endeared me to it, though, is like there's like the rejects. So people try out to be Legion of Superheroes and they get rejected, and they keep coming up in continuity. It's just kind of funny. There's like character deaths. Like there's actually consequences to the comics, which is fun because you don't expect that from that era of comics. So some characters die off. One of the characters loses a limb at one point. Like, so yes, it's Silver Agey. Yes, it's kind of goofy, but there's still some pretty good character stakes in there that keep you hooked. So that's like the easiest jumping on point, but I don't know that's going to really set you up for modern runs. One of those Mark Waid runs might be a good jumping on point, but I've not read it. So
yeah, if you want a good jumping on point for Legion, I always like try to point people. It's very much a different Legion from the 80s, 90s, 60s. But the 2004 Wade Kitson series was one of my first jumping on points to Legion, and it's got the continuity set up for 3 years before they get rebooted again after Final Crisis. But no, it's a fantastic run if you want really good soap opera, and if you just want cool characters interacting really well with each other. I think Wade does a fantastic job of being able to shapeshift different characters with different times. And I find it funny that Wade is now going to be at the helm of 3 different Legion reboots, one in the 90s, one in the 2000s, and now he's going to be technically overseeing or helping one out as we're speaking, which is crazy to me to think about. But yeah, I mean, it's never an easy point like with the Legion. I think the other route that I would go to if you want something that's more accessible is the most recent DC Finest Legion of Superhero series that came out. You do jump into the tail end of the Jim Shooter era, but it does a good job with tabloiding and keeping you up with who these characters are, who Dream Girl is, Brainy 5. And you also get a nice mix of the Silver Age art, and then when Dave Cockrum gets on with the Bronze Age. So you get 2 different distinct eras in that one. So hopefully that answers your question, Adrian.
Yeah, Jim Shooter, too, was writing those comics when he was a teenager. Thank you, James. So Jim Shooter, his first writing gig in comics, he was writing it when he was 12 and 13 years old, and he pitched these stories to DC. They didn't know how old he was, but they're like, these are great. Let's have you come in and write these stories. And he's also like 6'5", so when they met him, they didn't realize he was just a teenager. So it's just a fun story that Jim Shooter was writing as a teenager for mainstream comics. And also Dave Cockrum, yeah, incredible artist. He created Nightcrawler and then what became Storm were 2 characters that he was originally pitching and creating for Legion and Superheroes, and they got rejected. So then he took those over to Marvel when they relaunched with Giant Size X-Men. So it's right around the Giant Size X-Men era of Cockrum.
Yeah, those are, and then if you want to read, I think Great Darkness Saga is getting a deluxe edition out later this year. I don't remember.
Oh, no, that came out.
I think no, yeah, you're right. I think it did come out.
But they're doing a the Curse. The Curse is getting a deluxe edition reprint later.
So there you go. There are a couple of Legion points on for y'all. Peter. Is the Sabretooth Omni or Sabretooth War Omni worth it? Just confused because I know we have chronological and creator Omnis. Okay, so I'm going to try to explain this in 1 minute if I can. Sabretooth War, everything that's collected in there is part of the Sabretooth. You got 2 Sabretooth minis, which are done by Victor Laval, who does something happens to Sabretooth after House or during House of X, and we get to see what happens with Sabretooth in those 2 specific miniseries, and then it immediately jumps into the tail end of Benjamin Percy's Wolverine run, which is the Sabretooth War, which is the final 10 issues of Wolverine. Yes, it is everything that it says on the title. It is Wolverine and Sabretooth's last fight, and I won't spoil as to how that fight is concerned. It's not collected in the Follow the House of X Rise of the Powers of 10 Omni, so it is different in the point that if you are going to collect the tail end last era, and if say like, oh, maybe you have doubts, as if I don't doubt Marvel will be able to print all of those if the sales are great, but just in the case of if you don't pick up House of or the fall or the first start with the Age of Krakoa, Dawn of X Omnis, and you're like, man, I really need the tail end, I would suggest getting Fall of the House of X, obviously, and then the Sabretooth War Omnis, because they are completely different and separate. Hopefully that answers your question, Peter. Because, yeah, Sabretooth was doing completely different things in this era of X-Men, and that is what is collected in that Sabretooth War Omni. All right, that is a lot of words. What other hobbies do the 2 of you have that you're super passionate about? Are you into toys, statues, wrestling, gaming, etc.? I can see the shirt that Taylor is dying to talk about basketball.
Oh, I guess yeah, sure. I used to be really big into pro wrestling, but I'm not so much anymore. Like the first 30 years of my life, I watched pro wrestling. So that's not really anything outside of comics. I'm a dad, so all my hobbies are usually related to what my son's into. Like things that I never thought I'd ever get into or play, like Pokemon card games, yes! Yu-Gi-Oh card games. I knew I was cursed. I told my wife when we found out we're having a child, I was like, I have 5 years to brainwash him into liking all the cool stuff that I like before he gets to kindergarten, and all his friends start influencing him into these things that I don't like Pokemon. I even cited, I said, he's going to get into Pokemon when he gets to kindergarten. I just know it. And of course, that's exactly what happened. So my hobbies are usually related with, and then we watch Pacer games as a family. So that's usually another thing I'm into. So whatever my son's into, the Pacers and comics, basically.
Indie anime. For my hobbies, basketball, I both play and watch. I'm a huge Lakers fan. I also play basketball with a Filipino league that my dad also plays in. So yeah, long time coming, because it was he got to watch me play games and coach me as a kid, and I was like, oh, I get to play with him. So I find that experience super cool.
That's awesome.
I play on my PS5, and I'm planning on getting a Switch 2. Will I get a Switch 2 is another question, but I've been playing Nintendo games since I was 4 or 5 years old, when I played on my uncle's Game Boy, and my mom gave me a DS Lite. Have not stopped since. I know that there are a lot of big fans of wrestling, but people have been trying, at least for the last year and a half that I've been in this community, to get me into wrestling. I do not have time, and if that were to happen, I think I would literally, Omar would fire me if that were to happen. So maybe some other day. But those are my hobbies.
My son's been saving up for a Switch 2. He's been doing chores around the house. Ooh. He's been following the news. Every time there's a new show that comes out talking about the news, he watches it. So I might get a Switch 2 via him, because I do play video games with him too. He's a big video gamer, loves Nintendo. So
okay, well there you go. No, yeah, I love Pokemon. Obviously, that's another big hobby of mine. If people know me, you have probably seen a Pokemon plushie in the background of one of my videos, and that is a big reason to why. Here's a question for you, Taylor. Do you like Doom Patrol by Keith Giffen and Matt Clark?
I'm not ready yet, but I'm really excited for that. Is it an omnibus? Yeah, I'm really excited for that. I love Keith Giffen. Keith Giffen is one of those writers that every time I read something that he's written or drawn, he keeps moving up further and further in my favorite all-time list. So I'm super stoked about reading that, because I love Keith Giffen. I love Doom Patrol. So Keith Giffen, to me, I don't think I've ever read anything from him that I didn't love. I don't think there's been any Keith Giffen runs that I did not enjoy. So I don't see how it could go wrong with that one.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, I personally think like the run is fine. Like it's not as like the experience is not as bad as me reading Doom Patrol by Byrne. So
Doom Patrol by Byrne was such a letdown too, because it had Chris Claremont wrote some of those issues and Terry Austin did the inks on some of so it's like that classic X-Men trio of Austin, Byrne, and Claremont on some of them. It didn't land.
Well, there you go. Yeah, it's I don't think it was not the Doom Patrol run for me. I will definitely say that, but it doesn't seem like it was for anybody either. Dom, do you recommend Azzarello's Wonder Woman Omnibus? Love Wonder Woman, but haven't read this one. Yeah, I think if you can get past one or two of the retcons in their MP, I think that it will be a delightful read for you. I think Azzarello does a really fantastic job with the mythology and studying the different aspects of the Wonder Woman mythology in that specific series. I think there are interesting things that he also does with the current, a little bit more of a bloodthirsty Diana than the Diana that we're used to.
That's the run with
not.
Sorry.
I just want to say real quick, like it's not my favorite Wonder Woman run, but I do think that there are aspects in there that you can enjoy. And I also do love Cliff Chang and Matt Wilson. Okay. Like those are two of my favorite artist, colorist, creator duos. So yeah, definitely. I would definitely wouldn't say it. Like some people don't like it, but I don't know if I'm at that point because that was also one of the first Wonder Woman runs that I also read. So where and how would Immortal X-Men be collected in Omnibus? Only in the Dawn series? That would be collected in a Destiny of X and Fall of X Omnibus anthology series if they were ever to get around to that point. And it also would be in a possible, maybe they do an Immortal X-Men Omnibus like we have with the X-Men by Al Ewing and X-Men by Jerry Duggan omnibuses. So that's definitely in the possibility of the realm of how Marvel can map those out. Don't do it, don't. There are wrestling fans here in who watch NMC, so I'm trying to.
I will say, I think getting into wrestling as an adult for the first time, I think would be hard.
Mm-hmm.
I think most wrestling fans that are like diehards that you meet probably watched it as a kid.
Yeah, that's definitely the case for my in real life buddies in high school who played or who were on like the wrestling team. They're like, oh, like I used to watch this, and I'm like, I have no idea who you're talking about. That's really cool that you got into it. And yeah, no, it's hard. Like some people will ask me like, what I do for a living. I'm like, oh, I read comics. And they're like, you read comics? Like that doesn't sound like typical for a basketball player to do. But I get that a lot. But it's just, it's something that I live with and I'm happy doing both. That's okay.
Comics are for everyone.
That is never a truer thing that I have heard. And yes, we are the it's funny because we were watching film on the team that we were going to be playing in the finals for our league last year. And my dad was like trying to pinpoint different like defensive reads to me. My mom took a picture of us in the living room, like analyzing film and posted it on Facebook. She was like, here's LeBron and Bronny like studying film. She got like over 150 likes or something. I was like, there's no way that mom posted this. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's fun though. I think they leaned into it. My entire family is a basketball family. Like my mom played varsity in college, dad played varsity in high school when they were in living in the Philippines. So it just runs in the family. Have either of you read Slam Dunk for the manga? Hello, Jack Ferry. Good morning to you.
I want to. Have you read it, Dom? I
have not. Is it good?
I've not read it, but it's a basketball manga. I feel like it's ripe for you to read. I heard nothing. I've heard it's like one of the best manga series of all time. Mm-hmm. My only issue is I wish it was digital, and I think the mangaka, who I don't know the name of at the top of my head, doesn't like digital comics, so I think that's the reason why it's not available digitally. I love manga. I read a lot of manga, but I don't have the shelf space for big like 30 volumes manga series. Mm-hmm. So I read any of the longer series like that. I typically read digitally, but yeah, that's my answer. I guess I could try in my library though. Mm-hmm. Might have to go that route because I do want to read it. Because I've heard like Riley, Omnibus collector, who's friend of the show. He doesn't like sports. He doesn't watch sports at all. Like he's never watched sports in his whole life that he's ever enjoyed. But that's his favorite manga series of all time.
Which
It's
is
even
crazy
like a
to
good,
think about because of
yeah,
the fandom and whatnot. That's
yeah,
cool. You got a Hillbilly Jim behind you, apparently.
yes, LJN.
There
Oh,
you go.
sorry, that's a wrestler. So maybe that's obviously. I do have a lot of my old wrestling figures still.
Good morning, panels with Pete. Took a while to get the kids down with their naps. Happy to be here now, reading Dr. Afra, digging it, maybe getting to jump into Urusawa's Master Keaton.
Urasawa, yeah, I do love Naoki or Urasawa. I've never read Master Keaton though. Pete, let me know how that is. I absolutely love and adore 20th Century Boys. One of my favorite series of comics I've ever read. So
I have to. There we go. Maybe I have to put that on the list. Although my list is already incredibly long as it is. Has Green Lantern Jade ever got a trade? She was the main hero of a main book for a small bit, but DC kind of she does kind of get ignored a lot by DC. The only time that she shows up a lot nowadays is if her dad, Alan Scott's in something, which is kind of a shame because she is one of my favorite characters. Overall, as like the JSA legacy people are concerned. I would love to see a Jade Green Lantern DC Finest at some point. I doubt they will because they have to go through Kyle Rayner. You obviously got Guy Gardner, and then I can't imagine that they wouldn't do a John Stewart book either. So it might be a while before we get to that point, but I would love to see them do a collection like that because I do think that she is very much underrated, and that is what it is. I used to play Pokemon Go a very long time ago, Matthias. I got into Pokemon Go in the summer of 2016. It was right in between my junior year, sophomore and junior years of high school. And I got to play with a lot of my buddies at that, summer class because I took it with one of my best friends. And there were two other high schoolers that we also became friends with. And we also found out that like 80% of our class played Pokemon Go. So we would all coordinate and figure out like, hey, like we can hang out at these times to catch or maybe like go to different parts of the city. It was a lot of fun. But I don't play anymore because I don't have time to play anymore.
my son loves Pokemon Go. That's a frequent question whenever we go to any place in the world is like, hey, are there any Pokemon around here? So to pull up my phone. But we'd go like on walks to like the library and stuff and play. And again, wasn't into Pokemon, but I was trying to find some way to get into it with my son, and that was one of the ways we did. So
there we go. Yeah, no, it's. I mean, if you want, I think to find Pokemon actually, I think does the best at incentivizing like actual good, healthy living. I play Pokemon Sleep. It's an app where you can catch Pokemon as you're sleeping. The longer you sleep or the better you sleep, the higher chance you have of catching cool Pokemon or evolved Pokemon. Sometimes a legendary will pop up, like two legendaries. So I have catch a Suicune and a Cresselia. For those who might not know, those are two very hard to find, hard to get Pokemon. But I do that because I'm trying to tell my body, like, hey, sleeping more than 7 hours, 5-6 hours a night is good. So, anyways, good job, good job, Game Freak. We are rooting for you, and we are also trying to say hello to one of our good friends in the chat, one of my favorite people in the world, Dominic from the Comic Book Report. Hope you're having a good morning, my friend.
it's like Earth 2 Dom. Who do you guys have? Dom, Earth 1, Earth 2?
He's Helena Wayne. I'm Helena Bertolini. I think that's the way we'll categorize that. If your son trains to be a wrestler, you gotta do.
my son, we watched the Royal Rumble this past year together. He got somewhat into that. He's at the age too where anything I like is like lame because dad likes it. So anytime we're in like a library or a comic book shop, I'm like, hey, you should read this. He's like, nah, you like that. That's lame. So I don't know that he would get into wrestling unless his friends got into it, of course. I did get him. So we're doing this new thing, him and I, where he makes me read a book and I make him read a book. So I'm reading Jedi Academy by Jeffrey Brown, which big Jeffrey Brown fan anyways, so that's fine. And Hilo by Judd Winnick, which is great. And now he's reading the Epic Collection Sega Genesis X-Men. So he's reading Giant Size X-Men for the first time. So
it's like a nice trade-off.
Yeah, because I keep recommending things. I'm like, you never read anything I recommend. So he's obliging a little bit.
You got to break the mold somehow, maybe.
I try.
But if there's anything that I've learned with myself, it's that like the older you grow, the harder headed you are. Like I just as a person. So hopefully they're not too hard of a head as they go up later in life. See.
He has that thing where I think he's kind of like me when I was growing up, where like I want to discover these things on my own. So if it's definitely a curse when the people say like you're gonna have a child that's just like you. So someone's like, "This is the greatest movie of all time." I'd always be like, "Is it though?" Like, and I'd kind of feel like nonplussed to want to even watch. I've gotten better about that. But he's like that too. So if I'm like, "You got to read this comic. It's so good. I loved it as a kid," then he's like, "I don't know." But if he goes and finds it on the shelf himself and is like, "I want to read this," so I think Harvey makes his comment here about faking not liking things or gaslighting.
No, I mean, I will just say, as a Filipino kid growing up here in the States, I was gaslit a lot. Not only about it, that's just being part of the stereotypical Asian household. Because a lot, yeah, I that definitely happened to me a lot when I was a kid.
But faking not liking things, I've tried that, but he's on to me, Harvey. He's a smart kid. If I'm like, "Oh, that's lame, you don't want to read that," and it's like, "So you really want me to read it then?" He sees through all my games.
Oh my gosh. Let me see if I can get to another. Yeah, make him read Trouble.
I don't want him to hate comics.
What if he likes it, unironically?
If it got him into wanting to read Spider-Man comics or something, like I'll take any gateway at this point.
See, that's the right mentality. I love that. Love that question. Here's something that I also wanted to that Matt asked earlier. Have either of you checked out any Marvel Premiere or DC Compact editions? I'm thinking of picking a couple to check out on the go.
I absolutely love the idea of them. I think they're perfect gateway books that you can have like in an airport or a bookstore for someone to pick up for a great price that isn't into comics. There haven't been any of them that have come out yet that I'm like, "Oh, I'd really like to own that." I kind of want to get the Watchmen one just because I'd like to have a on-the-go Watchmen book to be able to throw in my book bag and read, because I think I own the Absolute edition, so that's not really feasible for that. And I thought about picking up the what is the Green Lantern one? It's like the newer story.
Oh, Far Sector?
Yeah, I thought about picking that because I've never read that before, so I thought about picking that one up because again, it's $10 and an easy way for me to read that series.
It's so good.
That's what I've heard, and I believe you guys that have all said that, and I want to read it and give it a shot. So if I ever see that, come across that in a store like that volume, I might pick it up. Because again, the price point, you can't go wrong.
Yeah.
$10 for 12 issues of a comic book series, like.
I don't know if I ever told you the story, but there was somebody on the train that I was going home from class, and I was reading a couple of comics, was reading this, and the person behind me tapped me on my back, said like, "Hey, are you reading Far Sector by any chance?" I was like, "Oh yeah, I am," and I asked him, why, and then he pulled out his compact edition of Far Sector, and so
nice.
they were enjoying it a lot as well, and that's why I told him like, "Hey, I work for this channel called Near Mint Condition. They're pretty cool people. You should check it out." And Omar got a subscriber out of it. So
nice.
Yeah, very, very. It seems so. Some interactions like that actually do give me hope for humanity, and also trying to get more people into
comics. This is the era to get in comics, because when I say comics are for everyone, this is truly, we're finally getting back into the era of where they make comics for literally anybody. Like you go to someone walks in a comic book shop, you ask them what their favorite movies or TV shows are, you could find a comic that they'll enjoy based on that.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Pay over Pete though, his comment there about Johnny Ryan, his fat cop. I was reading that actually a couple months back I showed my son the cover of it, and he kind of just rolled his eyes. Not a comic for kids. Not a comic for kids. Johnny Ryan is for mature audiences. Well, mm-hmm. And when I say mature, I don't mean mature in their tastes. I just mean in age. Because they're just like trashy, like not politically correct comics for the point of not being politically correct comics.
So yeah,
they're funny though. I like Johnny Ryan. They're not for everybody.
Maybe I'll get into it someday. But again, I think my backlog is just so big at this point. I'm like,
if I were to recommend like a Fantagraphics type book to you, that probably wouldn't make the list.
Okay, I will keep that in mind. I will
It's
keep
not
that
it's
in
not the
mind
best
whenever.
gateway, but
Let me see if I can get to. Junior Simpson, good morning to you. Hello, Dom and Taylor. Excited for the upcoming DC Finest War, the Big Five Archive collect or Big Five Archive collection. DC's war comics are some of the best comics ever made and highly underrated. I completely agree that they need more love. I am like I think we've been talking about pretty much for the entire stream. DC, I think, has been doing a really killer job over the last 2 years as far as like getting like revamping up, trying out new things, trying out new lines, and trying to get to the book market of like, hey, we can get this out to the general public. This is going to be a lot better for our company. And I mean, if you told me that Peacemaker, I mean, it is partly because of the show, I will admit. If that he was going to be getting a DC Finest collection with every single one of his appearances from 66 to 93, I would have told you are crazy. But the fact that they are doing it gives me not only hope for humanity, but also very, very. It makes me happy as a DC fan to see a lot of these get pumped out in the fashion that they have.
I'm stoked for that volume 2. I love war comics in general. I have a bunch of videos on my channel showing off war comics, but the Joe Kubert DC war comics is like a big hole in my reading. I've never read those before, so I've always wanted to. So I'm glad they're being collected.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I have. I actually like all the all of the choices that they made for compacts, with the one exception of Wonder Woman Earth One, because I don't think that Yannick Paquette's insane paneling was made for the bite-sized format. I also don't think if you were to give a person who wants to get into Wonder Woman that like this golden age tale would be the best for a new reader, because I do think like part of it is trying to get more people to read, like new people to get into the hobby, right? If I were to start off with a Wonder Woman story, it would probably be Wonder Woman Year One by Greg Rucka and Nicholas Scott from Rebirth. Because I think that's just it's a lot better at giving you who Diana is and what her character is with great art too. You don't lose anything in the bite size. But I do think with Yannick Paquette's very, very stylized paneling, you do need a little bit of a bigger format than digest size. But otherwise, I think I completely agree with that. Like Brubaker, Darwin Cook, Catwoman. Yeah, that's another one that I am actually also very happy to see. Put out in digest size. So, have y'all read Traveling to Mars?
I have not. What is that? Is that a?
That's a great question.
Is that an image series? I need more information. I've heard that. I know I've heard that name, but
it's a Mark Russell book.
Oh no, I'm not. But I want to read that. I know what you're talking about. I think it's a Hoy. Is it a Hoy Comics?
A Blaze.
A Blaze. Okay. I love Mark Russell, so I do want to read that.
There you go. So we are set there. Yeah, James Gunn seems to be helping a lot with DC. Peacemaker obviously being the huge one. Suicide Squad getting a big up in the last couple of years. I think it's definitely also been behind his thing. But yeah, I just do think like there are certain Z-list or maybe like underknown characters that I think when Gunn translates them to the screen, he always adds a flavor, personality, or something to them that like makes us like want to care more about them or makes them interesting. Because I'll be completely honest, like with you, like Christopher Smith, again, like I don't think he's the most interesting person in the world. But you watch the Peacemaker show and it's like, this is really good. Part of it also has to do with John Cena, like because I think John Cena is also a really talented actor, but he's definitely been helping a lot as far as the DC scene is concerned. I think when Omar interviewed Tom King, Tom also went into a little bit of like how much Gunn was helping move along the ship and also like trying to figure out like how things like just the way that things work over there seems to be like a really, really fun time to be a creator at DC.
I love James Gunn. I'm a huge fan of him, and I'm stoked that he's with DC. I love that every announcement for every movie has a comic book attached to it, and we've seen those sales reflected in those announcements as well. I think I always say the biggest flaw, mistake, failure of the MCU was not turning more fans into comic book fans. Like you have these billion-dollar commercials on big screens, you should be able to convert those into comic book fans. I don't think they did a very good job of that. James Gunn seems to be deliberately trying to do that at DC, and I absolutely love it.
Yeah, no, it's been awesome to see. Like DC, like when James Gunn announced like his slate of projects that they had lined up, he also talked about the comics that they were going to be
Yeah.
inspired by. I don't think it's a coincidence to see a week to 2 weeks later that all of those comic books were out of print.
The same day on some of them, like the Supergirl trade paperback, the day he made that announcement, sold out on Amazon.
Yep.
Like it was like people like follow the charts. It was like down in like the 100s, 200 rankings of Amazon sales, and then shot up to number one, sold out.
So yeah, I think there is power to telling.
How easy is that?
I think there's power to telling people, like, the more you direct them to say, like, hey, like, I think if you give people an incentive to actually go out and check the comic, it's going to do wonders for your sales and for your marketing. And I wish that they had done that. I wish Marvel had done that. You know, when like the first Iron Man movie came out,
exactly.
Hey, pick up Demon in a bottle or something at the shop.
With how successful the MCU was, they should have converted so many people into comic book fans. That we have an exact replica of this model with manga. Manga ties in their manga, their anime, the video games, toys, everything all together. So if you're a big fan of One Piece, the manga, you're going to be watching the anime. You're going to be picking up the statues and the toys. You're going to be wanting to play video games if they have those too. Like all of it's tied together. It's not separated. Like, oh, you're a Marvel movie fan. Oh, you're a Marvel comic fan. Like, no, you're a Marvel fan, and all these things are tied together.
Why would you want people to buy your product, Taylor? That's crazy.
Exactly. Isn't that weird?
Oh my gosh. Here's a question that I think we glossed over. I want to. Have either of you guys read JLA Midsummer's Nightmare?
I have not.
Is that the Mark Waid run? I have read it. Let's see if I can get to. Oh, AK is done at the store. What did you buy? We have to know.
I think he posted it in an earlier comment. I think he said he spent like $1,200 or something crazy.
$1,200? I'm trying to find out the comment. I apologize, AK.
No, we get so many comments. It's hard to. He posted it earlier though. I saw something crazy. I was waiting for you to tap on it, but then I forgot.
Fine.
$1,800. It starts off with $1,800 later. I walked out, completing my Invincible, about 12 Omnis, and almost 50 or so trade paperbacks. Holy shnikes. Did you need like a forklift to carry that out for you?
Let me see if I can. Hey, you know what? We got a sale for a comic book shop. I can't exactly be mad at that. I'm trying to find it. What timestamp do you have it for?
I'm looking on my phone. I don't have timestamps, but it starts off with 1800. It's the first word of it, if that helps you scroll.
I'm so sorry, AK. I'm really happy that you spent that much, though. That's crazy. Come on. Yeah, I'm trying to find it. I can't. I'm even doing the Control F on.
It's right after.
Oh, here we go. I got it.
Okay.
18. Oh my gosh.
I need a full list of what you got.
Holy.
At least the 12 omnibuses.
Wow. Yo, you know what? That's dedication. Awesome to hear that you did that, because that not just gets you more comics, also helps out local businesses. And what 18 comics?
Oh, wow. 18 omnibuses. Holy.
That's insane.
I mean, you got a good deal then. I think because those couldn't have been cover price, obviously, because that would have been $1,800 alone.
And if they were cover price, more hats off to you. Like, that is insane.
Well, the comic book shop they're happy.
Mm-hmm. Oh, no, for sure.
Yeah, see, things like this. I do remember when the Doom Patrol show was being made, though, there was the cast all had like the Morrison omnibus in their hands, and they took pictures on Instagram and things, which is really cool. But again, yeah, those are some of the cool stories I love seeing in interviews. Like one of them pops up on my feed is John Bernthal always talks about how he walked into a comic book shop in Brooklyn right before they started filming Punisher, and he had a stack of Punisher comics, and the shop owner was like, "No, you're not buying those," and like started handing him other Punisher comics, and then he gave them to him for free, and Bernthal's like, "Well, thanks." And there's that fun story too, where like, who plays Doctor Strange? What's his name?
Benedict Cumberbatch.
Benedict Cumberbatch, where he walked into a comic book shop in full Doctor Strange costume, just like for fun.
Just for fun.
Like, I think they're filming, and he just like walked over and like walked into a shop. Yeah, these actors getting involved too. Like,
I don't know if I told you this, but I have met Brooke Lopez and his brother Alex Lopez because they went to
Oh,
my comic shop back when I was working in 2022. And both of them came at different times, but because I think the Bucks were in town, so that's probably why I was there. Brooke is a very, very unspoken like nerd. Like he buys comics on the regular. Like he loves Star
really?
Wars. Yeah, and he went in because we were talking about the Batman movie. Came in and he had. Oh, it's funny because he talked to me about how like he didn't like the third act of the movie at all, and then started referencing like, oh, like this whatever, Scott Snyder's Zero Year. Like he wasn't a fan of that story and wanted to talk like he wished that other books were adapted for the third act instead of that one.
What are you doing to me, Dom? The Pacers are gearing up to play the Bucks in the first round of the playoffs. You cannot get me to like Brooke Lopez. He is the enemy right now.
Brooke Lopez is a pretty good basketball player, though.
His brother famously was reading that book on the sidelines when they got cut from what was last year. Who did he get cut from?
I think it was Cavs, like the Cavs, right?
Yeah, and he like came to the game in the front row that like after the day he got cut and was reading a book the whole time. I don't think it was a comic though. That would be cool.
That entire family is filled with nerds. Like his younger brother Alex, who doesn't play professional basketball, but he's coming to our shop a lot. And I was like,
is he
my comic shop owner like went over to me. He was like, "Hey, do you know that's Brooke Lopez's brother who just walked in and talked to you for like 30 minutes about Batman?" I was like, "What?"
Is he gigantic as well?
He's also gigantic as well. He's like 6'6", man.
Oh, so he's shorter than the other two then.
Yeah, he's shorter
short
than
brother.
The other two are centers. But yeah, there you go. That's why I have hope for humanity. Dom, I'm gonna go get the DC Finest Peacemaker at my shop. Have a good day, guys. Have a good one, Cage. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate it. Hi, Dom and Taylor. Do you believe that we will get the X-Men Road to Omnibus Volume 2 this year? I think Omar made all the announcements for the Marvel stuff for like that 2-week span where he was literally filming an announcement video every single day, which kudos to him because it has to go through 3 different avenues before it's published and released. So my hat's off to him. But I don't think we're going to get it this year.
Yeah, he's already announced things for January 2026. So if we get it, it'll be next year.
That doesn't mean that we won't get it though. So
I'm sure we will though. Like X-Men omnibuses are almost like a guarantee.
Yeah, if it's X-Men and if it's Spider-Man, I think the billing is like it's probably safe. I would say the same thing for Avengers too, even though I think for like modern Avengers Omnis, I mean the closest one we've got that isn't the Avengers Forever like tail end of Jason Aaron's Avengers. We have the Jonathan Hickman Omnis, but other than that, I think like it's those 3 franchises that I mean like you should know like you'll be getting them. Same with Daredevil too. I think those 4 franchises in particular, you will get
Thor's been collected almost into its entirety as well in the modern era, and then but like Bendis Avengers, and we're getting a volume 2 of that finally. So
very excited for that one, and hopefully I think Omar talked to Marvel not to. Hopefully we will get some more clarification on other things that people are asking about us in chat because he will be able to speak better on that than I can. So let me see if good to see you, Adu Deluxe. I'd like the deluxe capitalization in your guys' name. What are your guys' thoughts on the current state of the MCU? How are you feeling about F4, Doomsday, and Secret War?
I've been kind of down on the MCU. I don't think they're like doing a terrible job. It's just like my interest in it like hasn't been greatest. But I'm a massive Fantastic Four fan. It's my favorite comic at Marvel. I actually think every movie adaptation, including the 1994 one that was never officially released, I've watched all of them. And I think there's good pieces about all of them. I think people deride them as being terrible. I don't think that's true. I think each of them did something right, but missed the whole. I love that this idea is going to be a retro throwback. Everything I've seen so far, I've really enjoyed. The casting choices weren't my dream casting choices, but seeing the cast work together, I think it's going to be pretty good. So I'm super stoked about it. I have to say I am more excited about the Superman movie coming out this summer because I'm a huge James Gunn fan, and
me too.
That first teaser trailer is all I needed to see. I'm not there. There you go. I'm not the biggest trailer guy. I usually kind of avoid trailers because I feel like they're spoilery a lot these days. But I had to watch that first teaser to see what he's going for. I'm sold. I don't need to see another second of film until I see the whole movie. Fantastic Four, I'm just a little bit less excited about, but I'm very stoked about it. And I think they're going to knock it out of the park. I think this could be the kind of a relaunch of MCU excitement that they needed, maybe surrounded around Marvel's first family. At least that's what I hope.
Yeah. I think I'm in the same boat with you. Like my interest has definitely waned down a lot since it first started. I mean, I remember being a kid and watching Avengers.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, I need more of this. Now, grant you, the first 5 minutes, I literally like went and asked my parents if we were in the right movie, and then the logo dropped, and I was like, oh wait, because I wasn't a Marvel kid growing up, so I didn't know who like Nick Fury was. I didn't know who like the people at Shield were. But then when I saw like Loki, not Loki, but it was like Captain America, and he's fighting, punching a bag. I'm like, oh wait, I'm in the right movie. I'm good.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, it's definitely waned a lot down since then. I think I'm more excited for Superman right now. Overall, like Superman is like legitimately my most hyped movie of the year. Like I cannot wait to see it.
Easy. I cannot wait to watch the movie. That teaser trailer was perfect.
I completely agree. Matt, thank you for watching. It's I'm trying to finish out and round out the rest of the Idlewise catalog so people can get all the DC stuff. I think Marvel, we're up to December. I have some DC stuff up in January, but I'm trying to get like all the little trades and all that on cr.com. But I'm glad you're using the site for resources, man. I really, really do appreciate it. Who can afford to buy Omnis as fast as they come out right now can hardly afford physical Marvel Omnis anymore. Glad that there are digital editions. I kind of want DC to do that too. Like I am actually very surprised that like you can get DC Deluxe editions on the DC Universe Infinite subscription app. Like they're just part of the service for the Ultra tier, but you can't get them on like on Kindle or whatever digital thing you can.
I wish either the DC app or the Marvel app would include a playlist option to where people like Crushing Comics could put like a reading order on the app, and that you like Spotify, how you like Spotify playlists.
Oh, that would be cool. Yeah,
someone could go in there and be like, here's a proper reading order for all of Moon Knight or whatever character it is, and you just follow reading that. Because sometimes, especially with modern eras, it's hard to like follow the reading order digitally. You like go and kind of hunt for them, which first world problems, I know. But I wish that would be included in one of those apps.
Marvel had something similar where if you were a Marvel insider or joined their like online program to like redeem digital comics and stuff, you could actually create a play. Like you could set a playlist. You had to like redeem a certain amount of points, but you could redeem those points to make a playlist that Marvel would then promote on their website saying, hey, this person recommends these stories or these issues. I actually thought it was cool. It's just not completely integrated into the system at all. So, Dylan, good morning to you. Thoughts on Tom Taylor's Titans run? I need a good modern Teen Titans run to read. How can I put this? At least I'm enjoying the John Layman Pete Woods run that's coming out right now, Mr. I'm your lawyer. It's got great art. I really like Nicholas Scott's on for the first 5 issues. Ivan Reyes draws a majority of the Beast World event that crossed over with Titans and some other DC titles. Unfortunately, or Titans and Nightwing, sorry. And then Ivan got called up by Jeff Johns to do Ghost Machine books because Ivan and him are close friends. Lucas Meyer has taken over the run, or had taken over the run. It's a pretty decent 15 issues. I don't think it's my favorite, but there's a lot of fun to be had, I think, with some of them. The Raven Trigon story at the end, I actually found really, really enjoyable and also really good looking. Like, I do, like, Lucas Meyer is, I think, very much underrated. His art style is super clean. So I think you can enjoy it. Let me see if I can get to, yeah, I'm so glad that there will be 3 superhero movies in the next couple months. Thank you, Logan. Those definitely did not take. They took a lot. They take a long time to make, but I'm glad people like them, so I appreciate it.
Those are magnificent. All kudos for that.
Thank you. What are your top 3 Fantastic Four runs?
Lee Kirby, number 1 for sure. That run of 102 issues plus is one of the greatest comic book runs of all time. John Byrne, I'd put up there. And Walt Simonson, actually, I'd put his run up there. It with notable mention of Wade Waringo is a great run.
I love Wade Waringo, fantastic.
Yeah, that's a great run. And actually, a surprising run that I just read was Ultimate Fantastic Four. So I had read the first 12 issues of those like back in the day. I was a big Ultimate Comics fan. This is my first time reading the Omnibus, which I'll have an overview on my channel this week. Cheap plug. And I was kind of blown away by Warren Ellis's run throughout there.
Mm-hmm.
And also Mark Miller's run wasn't too shabby. I'm
surprised that that's crazy.
Yeah, because Mark Miller, I've read his Fantastic Four run, like this 616 continuity, and I actually think I like that run better than most people. Like Omar,
with Hitch, I did. Yeah,
I don't think Omar's the biggest fan of that because I told him I liked it, and he's like, "What?"
But I don't think he's a big Mark Millar fan also.
Right, but his Fantastic Four run, I was kind of impressed by. That Omnibus is actually pretty good. I would have put it up there in my favorite Fantastic Four runs, but I was surprised by how much I enjoyed that one. Jonathan Hickman, his run obviously needs mentioning as well. I like that run a lot too.
Well, there you go.
Tom DeFalco's run.
Yeah.
I love Fantastic Four, so I could go on and on, but all the great runs.
What Taylor's trying to say is read Lee Kirby because Jack Kirby is the greatest of all time, and I don't disagree.
Yes. You disagree? Look at that! I got a Jack Kirby action figure. How about that?
What? That's crazy.
He doesn't have a cigar, unfortunately, but and I got Stan Lee back here too. Look at that, Lee Kirby run. Read that Fantastic Four run.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy. Well, there you go. Good morning to you, Aaron. Hope you're doing well, my friend. Big Stu in Orlando. What's upcoming on the bestest channel ever this week? Omar's got a couple of Omni overviews that he's putting out. He's got one for Cosmic X-Men and Punisher by Rick Remender, which is coming out in the next couple of days. We got the Marvel Omnibus reprint poll. It's coming out on the Monday next week on the 14th at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then I don't know if Matt is back, so I don't know if Old Rear New Rear is back. But Reels Talk will be back next week. I'm just not sure what movie they're doing. Is there anything else that you wanted to highlight? Oh, I've also got an overview of Batgirl Nobody Dies Tonight by Kelly Puckett, Joe Kelly. We've also got some Phil Noto art in here too. And Damian Scott, who is, I think, my favorite early 2000s Batman related artist. And
tomorrow, it looks like Omar's got his haul videos coming out 11:30 a.m. His spring 2025 haul, and then at 6 p.m. he's got Rook Exodus, the trade paperback overview.
He really likes that series with Jay Fabok.
That's what's coming out, so that we know of so far for NMC.
There we go.
And Omar will be back next Saturday morning as well.
Yes, he is currently. He's not in a hangover from Chicago, but I'm pretty sure he had a fun time karaokeing last night. Hi, Dom. I know the Tom King Omni for Batman is coming out, but what's the likelihood of a Rebirth OHC reprints missed book 1, but do not win a double whip with the Omnibus? DC has not reprinted any of those Rebirth hardcovers in the last couple of years. Like, they stopped midway or very early on with Flash. We only got one of Green Arrow that was dropped. I think really the only ones that we actually got through were Superman by Pete Tomasi and Pat Gleason, and then Batman by Tom King. And even the Batman by Tom King oversized hardcover, I mean, they don't collect everything in there. I don't think we're going to be getting those anytime soon because I think they're putting a lot of other... They're doing new editions of the trades from the Batman run, like War Jokes and Riddles got one recently. The I Am trilogy got those recently. Rules of Engagement, I think, is getting one very, very soon as well, but they have not done anything. Like, I think they're mainly focusing on the bigger, thicker, complete collection type trade paperbacks, and then of course the omnibuses for the collectors of those. Okay, we got AK saying his entire poll. This is somebody who has spent, again, an insane amount of money on those Omnis. $20.99, Scott Snyder Batman, Volumes 1 and 2, Spidey and Venom, Ultimate, which Ultimate one? Just regular
Ultimates?
Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
Or maybe Spider-Man, because they were talking about. Anyways, something Ultimate.
Or maybe the Ultimate. Like the Ultimates, maybe.
Oh, there we go. Although that was, anyways, Infinity Gauntlet, Deadpool, which Deadpool? F4 by Mark. Okay, so F4 by Mark Millar. So I'm assuming that's the Brian Hitch and Millar Omni. Amazing Fantasy, Clone Saga 1 and 2. Okay, so where is Omnibo when you need him? Star Wars, which Star Wars, my mask, and Silver Surfer.
Which Silver Surfer? The great Mike Allred run or the great John Buscema run? Both are great omnibus.
Correct answers, by the way. Black Suit Saga.
Oh, there's more.
Oh my gosh, you went in with Jim Lee and Chris Claremont X-Men, Mark Waid Flash, and Frank Miller Daredevil.
Frank Miller Daredevil, yes, great stuff.
Time to, Josh. We're literally only here for the. I'm gonna say, like, I do have a hard out at 10, so so this is the official last 8 minutes of the stream. So any questions you guys want to throw at us, we're open to do so. And if you want to get any of those Omnis that AK mentioned, you can check those out at our American sponsor, Cheap Graphic Novels. $8 flat rate shipping to any spot here in the United States. And if you let them know that we sent you at checkout, you will get the next order with free shipping. They also have exceptional customer care and also exceptional shipping and packaging. Check those guys out at cheapgraphicnovels.com. Now, if you want to ask your questions for food later today, you can check our friend over on Jess's channel at Omni Dogs Vault.
Ooh, we got a couple Fantagraphics comments. So Brian said he got his Fantagraphics Fanabucks sale haul. I'm going to find out what you got.
Okay.
And then Dana's got some news there. Dana Andrea, she's bit of news. Fantagraphics is doing a second printing of Complete Web of Horror. Amazing news. Awesome. Omar did an interview with Dana on his channel about this book. I still don't have a copy, Dana, so I'm excited to hear that. I need to pick up a copy. And Dana also is doing she edited. Oh, geez. Knocking everything over.
Ripped your ring light. She
edited this book that's coming out from Fantagraphics soon, Night Drive by Richard Sala. This is one of Richard Sala's earliest comics that he came out with. And Dan Clowes did the design of this book, but Dana was the editor. So shout out to Dana.
Shout out to awesome stuff there, Dana. Congrats to you guys. Can't wait to check those out. Man, I can't wait for the Rook Exodus Volume 1 hardcover either. I have been dying to get the current, all the current Ghost Machine stuff in that specific oversized format. Criminally unfamiliar with Kane's Batgirl. Need to fix that. I want to say real quick, it is some of my favorite comics ever. Like, rereading it for like the last 2 days, I got reminded about how much I love superheroes. And I think this run is very emblematic of going through that just overall as a person and as a newbie to the scene of Gotham. It is very, very awesome material. Let's see if I can get through some of these questions. Yeah, man. Yeah, I know. We will see that. Trouble or Marvel? We'll answer this real quick.
Ooh, Marvel, I guess.
I'm going to choose Trouble. What should I read next? Lemire Animal Man, Gotham Central, Defenders, OG1, Immortal Hulk, or Kate's Venom?
Ooh, my vote goes for Defenders.
I am going for Gotham Central because that is also one of my favorite Gotham-related reads ever. So much to the point where I suggested it on the Batman Evergreen, and it got in. Can you tell us anything about the I cannot tell you anything, but I will say that you are definitely going to be buying them when they do drop in shops at some point later in the future. There you go. Thank you, James, for all of that as
Oh,
well.
Brian posted his Fanderbucks haul. Fat Cop Tedward comics, Werewolf. I own all that. Those are all great picks. I own every one of those books.
Oh,
Great
my
stuff.
God.
Great stuff.
Great stuff, indeed. Let me see. Boxers or I am not answering that question. But as somebody who reads a superhero, I do like seeing because I do like old costumes. I do like seeing briefs on superhero.
Yes, I'm glad James Gunn brought that back.
So cool, and cool. Logan, I have seen you ask this question before. I promise I will answer, and I think I don't have enough minutes to answer that question, but I would love to talk about that someday, either on my channel or on Near Mint Condition, obviously. Let's see if there are. Let's see. Oh, Alex, Dom, what do I read next? The John's Omni 2, Black Costume Saga, or Dark Phoenix Saga? I'm always going to say John's Green Lantern because those were the comics that I grew up with, and I want people to enjoy those as well. Let's see if new printings of Garth Ennis Punisher. I would say go vote for that on the reprint poll on Monday. Let your voice be known that you want Punisher on these.
6 p.m. Eastern, right here.
Indeed. Let's see. Also reading in Descenti Daredevil for the first time. Thoughts on War and Peace. You're talking about which War and Peace, Josh?
War, what is it good for? Absolutely nothing.
That's right. That's why we have to name every single one of our comic events with something and then saying war. So
that was a Seinfeld reference for the Seinfeld fan.
D.H.
McAdams, I know you're a Seinfeld fan.
Oh my gosh. Let me see if I can get to any other quick questions. We got 2 minutes left. Yeah, it's only the second finest that's been entirely 2000 material. But I'm sure that, I mean, we've seen, they are printing
Listen, Partworks, us fans of classic comics, all the modern stuff's been released in some format or another at some point. We need more classic material.
Fair enough. Let's see. Got 3 more questions in me. Should I buy Remender Punisher coming out? I like the Ennis run, and I love most Remender books. I like Frankencastle a lot. I think panels with Pete talked about it a little bit earlier, or asked that question earlier. I would definitely suggest reading. I do like Remender Punisher because I'm not a big Punisher guy, but if it's if it's with like a creator that I usually trust or like I'm a completionist with, I will definitely buy in for that. And last question. What is the best Daredevil? I've read some Wade and Bendis.
Frank Miller. Oh, sorry. You asked Dom.
So yeah, Taylor's obviously going to say Frank Miller. I think I'm going to say Bendis. I always go back and forth between Wade being my first and then Bendis being just like my comfort comic through the pandemic. But vying for, I think I'm going to say Bendis because yeah, I think what he and Malay did is absolutely spectacular. And then one last question, Aaron. Thinking of buying the Green Lantern Compendium. What do y'all think? Yes, dude. There's uncollected material in there. There's a Guy Gardner series that's never been collected before. I think if you just want the entire picture of Green Lantern from that era, I would definitely say buy the compendium. But other than that, if you're not looking to be a completionist and if you're already happy with the Tomasi and John's Omnis, go for it there. But that is going to be it. I do have a hard out at 10, but I want to say thank you for everybody who joined us today. Taylor, where can people find you, my friend?
Go Pacers. Oh, sorry. Taylor Talks Comics on YouTube. Just follow me there. I got new videos coming out all the time. Got a bunch of videos loaded up for next week. I show everything from Marvel DC to Fantagraphics and small press stuff. Taylor Talks Comics.
Taylor Talks Comics. Thank you to Mr. James for linking that there. Of course, the Omnibus. Take care, guys. Have a great one, and I will catch you all later.